Something else that's been updated in Ableton 11 is how we deal with velocity. So if I double click on a clip here to open up, scroll up, you can also adjust the height of the velocity window here by clicking and dragging up and down. Also, if you don't see the velocity window here, it's this little kind of yellowy tab. Here we'll open it. You can see if you're coming from Ableton 10, the Ableton 11 velocity kind of nodes look slightly different. Before in Ableton 10 they were vertical, now in Ableton 11 they're horizontal. And there's a reason for this, is because we have a couple more options here. We have randomize and velocity range. So I'm just going to look at velocity range first. I'm going to click on, say, this kick drum here. And then what I can do is I can now either give it a plus or minus velocity range. So if I click and drag down, you can see now it grays out an area below. Now what that's going to do is, as it goes through the sequence, it's going to play that note at velocity within this colored area. So it gives a bit of a randomized, kind of humanized feel to it. So that's obviously, we're just doing it on 1. I'm going to put that back to 0 by just typing 0 here. Then if I click in here and press Command A, I can now apply this to all of them. So let's listen to it before. Go up here and press play. Now let's add some velocity range to it. So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag it down by, say, 40, minus 40, okay? Cool. Okay, so that's velocity range, and you can hear it humanizes the drum beat there. This is especially good when you have quite repetitive patterns such as hi-hats. So you could just do this on the hi-hat, you don't have to do it on all the drums. So we're going to go ahead and just select the hi-hats here. So we'll click and we'll just drag them down like that. Now we just got the hi-hats. Adds a bit more groove to it, okay? So I'm just going to reset that. So we're going to now go to the randomize. Okay, so this should look like this when you first see it. It has 127. That's the strength of the randomization. So if I click it, watch what happens. Boom. All the velocities have been randomized. So let's hear how that sounds now. So that's obviously the extreme setting. If I go back, undo that. So now if we set it to 48, we click here. If you look at the velocity, you see the randomization isn't as extreme. If I undo that, and then we'll do a lower one, see if we do right down to, say, 10. Why is that? It's only slight. Okay, so experiment with this velocity range and this randomize button here to humanize your drum beats when creating your song. Next, let's look at another new option in Ableton Live 11, which is chants. How we access the chants tab is by clicking this little button underneath the velocity tab. It will also illuminate yellow and give us this new lane here. So what you see here, it goes from 0% to 100%. And that is the chance that this drum hit will get played within the repetition of this sequence. So for example, they're all at 100 at the moment, so they're always going to be played. If I select this bass drum here, and I click the chance and I bring it down to 50%. Now when that plays, there's only a 50% chance that that kick drum's going to get played. So let's have a listen. Did you hear it got played that last time? So this is really handy for adding in a further humanized feel to your drum beat. You can actually verge on being generative, and you can interact with the computer much like you would interact with a musician. That, you know, you've set some parameters and the computer started jamming with you. So let's see how this works best. I quite like this by adding in some extra notes with a low velocity. So say if we did something like this, and we put that chance down to like 26%. Oh, sorry, I did the wrong one there. Click on the bass drum. Drag that down. And then we're also going to highlight these two. Bring down the velocity. And I'm going to do the velocity range low as well. And then maybe one more here. Again, chance. And then velocity. Down here. Okay, let's hear how that sounds. Yeah, it works really well. Okay, so let's try a couple of snare drums. So I've got one here, and I've got one extra one here. So let's go and do a similar sort of thing as the kick drum. Let's do the chance down. So let's click here. Let's drag it down. Or what you can actually do if you want to do them at the same time, if you click and drag. It might be quite nice to have these at the same. So let's go down 7. Same thing with the velocity. Let's go really low with this one. And velocity range. Let's randomize these ones. There we go. Okay, so let's hear that. Very cool and interesting, and it's always evolving, and this chance really gives this humanized element to the pattern.